Daniel grew up in a house where love was never equal. His older brother Michael was the center of everything. At school meetings, their parents proudly talked about Michael's grades and achievements. At family gatherings, relatives surrounded Michael with smiles and praise. Whenever guests visited, their mother proudly said, "Michael will make this family successful one day." And Daniel? He was always somewhere in the background. Quiet, forgotten, invisible. Every mistake Daniel made became a lecture. Every achievement Michael made became a celebration. When Michael scored high marks, the family went out for dinner. When Daniel won an art competition, his certificate stayed unnoticed on the kitchen table for days. Slowly, Daniel stopped trying to impress them. Because no matter what he did, he would never be the favorite son. One Christmas changed everything. Daniel spent months secretly saving money from part-time jobs. He bought gifts for everyone. A scarf for his mother. A watch for his father. A photo frame for Michael. But on Christmas morning, nobody even noticed. The family was too busy celebrating Michael receiving an expensive laptop. Relatives laughed happily around him while Daniel sat silently in the corner holding the cheap sweater he had received. That night, Daniel overheard his parents talking in the kitchen. His mother whispered, "Michael will take care of us one day." Then his father quietly replied, "Daniel is just different." Different. That one word broke him. After that night, Daniel stopped sharing his dreams. Stopped talking during dinner. Stopped expecting love. Years passed. Michael became famous online as the perfect son. Successful, confident, admired by everyone. Meanwhile, Daniel slowly disappeared inside his own home. One evening during dinner, Daniel finally gathered the courage to speak. "I got accepted into one of the best design universities." Silence. His father barely looked up. "Design isn't a real career." Then his mother smiled proudly at Michael instead. "Tell us more about your business internship." Daniel sat there heartbroken. That same night, he packed one bag and quietly left home. No goodbye, no letter, no message. Days passed, then weeks. Nobody searched for him, nobody called. It was as if the family had already accepted life without him. But Daniel survived. He worked in restaurants, cleaned offices at night, and slept in tiny apartments. Slowly, he built a life on his own. Years later, Daniel became the owner of a successful media company. For the first time in his life, he no longer needed anyone's approval. Meanwhile, Michael became even more famous online. Millions followed him. People admired his self-made success story. Their parents proudly showed his interviews to everyone. But Daniel knew something nobody else knew. Michael's success was built on stolen ideas. Years ago, Daniel had shared his designs and business concepts with his brother. Michael secretly used them to build his empire. And Daniel had proof. One night, Michael was invited to a massive live interview watched by millions. Halfway through the show, the host announced a surprise guest. Michael smiled confidently, until Daniel walked onto the stage. The audience fell silent. Their parents stared in shock from the crowd. Michael's face turned pale. Daniel calmly sat beside him and said, "Do you want to know who really created Michael's success?" Then Daniel revealed everything. Emails, design drafts, recordings, proof, undeniable proof. Michael tried to deny it. But within minutes, his perfect image collapsed live in front of millions. Social media exploded instantly. For the first time in years, their parents looked at Daniel with shock instead of indifference. Not because he became rich, but because they finally realized the son they ignored had been honest all along. After the interview, Daniel stood up to leave. His mother grabbed his arm with tears in her eyes. "Please, come home." Daniel looked at her quietly and replied, "Home was the place where I learned I was never enough." And he walked away. A week after the interview, tragedy struck. Their father died suddenly from a heart attack. At the lawyer's office, everyone expected Michael to inherit everything. But the lawyer opened the will and announced, "All assets and property will go to Daniel." Michael exploded in anger. Their mother burst into tears. Then the lawyer handed Daniel a letter written by his father before his death. Inside were the words Daniel had waited his whole life to hear. "I spent my whole life choosing the wrong son." Daniel's hands trembled while reading the letter. For the first time, his father admitted the truth. But the inheritance came with another shocking discovery. The family was drowning in debt. Their father had secretly borrowed massive amounts of money for years just to maintain Michael's luxurious lifestyle and fake success. Everything had been built on lies. Then another betrayal appeared. Their cousin Ryan leaked private family secrets online. Debt papers, arguments, recordings. The Anderson family became public humiliation overnight. During the chaos, Ryan revealed one final secret. Michael's DNA records proved their father was not his biological parent. The entire family froze. Suddenly everything made sense. The pressure, the favoritism, the fear. Michael completely broke down. Days later, Daniel found him sitting alone outside their childhood home. No cameras, no fake confidence, no perfect image, just pain. Michael looked at Daniel and whispered, "Do you hate me?" Daniel stayed silent. Then Michael admitted softly, "I spent my whole life trying to be perfect because I was terrified Dad would stop loving me too." For the first time, Daniel realized something painful. Michael had suffered too, not through neglect, but through pressure. One ignored, one controlled. Neither truly loved the right way. Michael pulled out an old childhood photo of them smiling together before the favoritism began. "I miss this," he whispered. Daniel stared at the picture for a long moment, then finally said, "Maybe we were never enemies." Michael's eyes filled with tears. And slowly, the brothers hugged for the first time in years. Not as rivals, not as the favorite and forgotten son, but simply as brothers. But the story wasn't over. Soon Daniel and Michael discovered Ryan had not acted alone. A powerful businessman had secretly manipulated the family for years to gain control of their father's company. While investigating, the brothers uncovered something terrifying. Their father's death may not have been natural. At the same time, their mother finally confessed another hidden truth. She had always known Michael was not their father's biological son. But there was more. Daniel also had a different biological father. The brothers sat in silence, realizing their entire childhood had been built on lies. For years they fought each other for love inside a family that was already broken from the beginning. Instead of falling apart again, the brothers decided to rebuild their lives together. Daniel turned his painful childhood into motivation. He created a global organization helping neglected children and students from broken homes. Millions around the world followed his story. One day during a speech, Daniel noticed his mother sitting quietly in the back row crying. After the event, she approached him slowly and whispered, "You became the man we should have believed in from the beginning." Years later, their mother became seriously ill. The broken family gathered together one final time. Old wounds reopened. Untold truths finally came out. Before dying, their mother handed Daniel a small box. Inside were every childhood drawing, certificate, and achievement Daniel thought had been ignored forever. She had secretly kept them all these years. Tears rolled down Daniel's face as she whispered weakly, "I loved you both. I just failed at showing it." For the first time since childhood, Daniel cried in his mother's arms. After her funeral, Daniel and Michael stood silently beside their parents' graves. No anger remained, no rivalry, only understanding. The two brothers looked at each other quietly, not as the favorite son and forgotten son, but as survivors of the same broken family. And together, they finally walked forward as brothers.